guys, how are you this afternoon? Sorry for being a bit late. I thought everybody would be logging in, but I got a green light from Manel to go on ahead. So basically, my name is Dalia. I'm gonna do this session in English because I know a couple of people will be logging in from different countries. So what do? I build brands. And luckily, over 20 years of multinational experience, I was exposed to amazing, iconic brands like Cadbury Dairy Milk, Oreo, Orange, and so forth. What I do now is consultancy, brand strategy mainly, and retail strategy as well, which could tell you, or you may wonder, what am I doing with e-commerce? So, two things. 4 years ago or so, Amazon bought Whole Foods. Now, this is a completely different game or ball game, as they say. And to them, even though amazingly enough they are the giant Amazon, they were very, very confused about this set of new shops. They were actual physical shops, and they were grocery, and they had fresh food. So they needed to understand the shopper behavior in the grocery mindset, because it was really different. The sales were not coming out. But what was happening that they discovered through extensive research is that the mindset of the grocery shopper is actually the supermarket in terms of aisles and shelves and so forth. Where do I fit in? Actually, I was lucky to be subcontracted from a research company called Nevo in Germany for a teeny weeny bit of that project, and I was exposed to a whole different world. Now, the findings are huge, and I share that in my workshops. I'm going to share with you bits and pieces on that, which takes me to the other point, which is, apart from consultancy, I do workshops, and one of them is shopper behavior in store, mainly fast-moving modern trade, over the last 3 years. I started 18 months ago adding a bit of it on channel evolution, and I could not ignore the fact that e-commerce is just going very, very strong, and it's something that I cannot ignore. So I added that to the workshop. Now, today the title is Branding in E-commerce. There are two big concepts here, brand and e-commerce. Now, brand, unfortunately, in Egypt and this part of the world, there is a confusion between product and brand. You might have an amazing product, a great service, a good name, fabulous packaging, and you put it online and sell. But you know what? This is very short-term mentality, because you have a product. But if you have a brand, you need to tell me in less than 2 minutes, what are you about? Why should I pick you up? What is your differentiator, competitive advantage, and the customer you are targeting? Very, very unique profiling so that you can communicate. It's of course a very big topic. We're not going to speak about it today, but I'm just going to take one thing out of it, which is communication, right? So I'll take communication and take it to the other concept, which is e-commerce. And in Arabic we say التجارة الإلكترونية, or it's the marketplace. Very sales oriented, which is trading mentality, and that's absolutely fine. It's just another sales channel. But today what I'm trying to advocate for is using e-commerce as a communication channel. Why not do that? It is another touch point with your consumers, right? So I'll walk you through bits and pieces of that in terms of content, whether it's text or visuals. But again, before we get into that, allow me to share with you that concept, which is big fish, small fish. Last April, I was in Cape Town presenting in the digital marketing forum, and this one was around brand owners when and why should go into e-commerce. Okay, now the big fish, the big players, to them it's another channel of sales. Of course, it has its dynamics and competencies, omni-channel issues, big stuff. And for small players, and this is what I shared in terms of research, small and niche brands, they have the opportunity to gain up to 3% market share more if they're on e-commerce versus physical store. Because in reality, the virtual store, the marketplace, the space is a playing field, same as big players. They have an equal opportunity, and because they are niche and differentiated, and if they have a good brand building, they are able to get that share versus the big player who have, muscles in other areas like stocking, operations, and so forth. So if you take that example, this one is a deodorant called Native. It's made out of natural ingredients. It's for males. It was launched, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, and it's sold only online. It's a brand because, as you see, they have a message. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. And the slogan is, invest in yourself. With all the marketing that they could have done outside in the world, like TV and billboards, they chose only to be online. And they've done so well that the giant P&G bought them last year for 100 million USD. So again, the opportunity is there, but how do you play it? Another touch point, and as I said, what do you communicate and how? The opportunity there is in your landing page. Currently, as we speak, landing pages are very, very poor. But think about it for a minute. We need to develop the thinking behind the landing page. If you have a packaging that is special, not terms and design, but mainly in terms of usage, or maybe, futuristically speaking, something around the environment, friendly, kind of, why don't you talk about it? Yeah? If you have something that appeals to the senses, like in beverage, for example, that splash, okay? So use the visuals to your advantage. You can also have some conversations around how you are different from your competition, okay? So of you who work in marketing, you will find me today saying words that you actually use in a creative brief, because again, as I said, why don't we use e-commerce as a chance to build your brand story? Not only sell, but also engage. And by the way, the latest I've seen on this in research results, I think they were talking about 12 to 15% possibility of uplift in sales when you just, jazz it a little bit, that landing page of yours. Think about Coca-Cola, the top brand in the world, okay? So this campaign, for example, is a print ad that got the award in the Cannes Lyon this year. I think it was in June. And the title was, Try Not to Hear This. The fact that you look at this bottle, you actually hear that click. Because years and years of developing the brand, yeah? So, on Souq, they actually have it listed as if it's a printout from an Excel sheet or SAP system. But you know what? Coke doesn't need it. But then again, if you're a small brand, you can take all of that big stuff of building brands and recreate it online on your page. Why not? Think about it. So in terms of content, we're looking at text and photos. There's so much learnings that are happening. I'll just, pick a few. This is a very silly example. Actually, it's from Alibaba, and it's a washing machine. If you think the title of high quality and inexpensive industrial dishwashing, those two words do not come together. This is very stupid. Okay, so either the person is stupid, or it's a translation problem, which could very much be so, because there is an association between quality versus expensive or cheap. They could have worded it differently, but then again, that is the power of communication. Every word you put there on your landing page is going to make a difference. One of the learnings that we know, which is actually very much different than what we say in billboards, masalan. So the billboards in the streets, I always advocate for very, very little words, very focused, okay? and little imagery or focused one that is related to your message or your slogan or whatever. But here in e-commerce, research results have shown that more is better. So if you're looking at a description of your SKU, you're looking at around 50 words, and this gives you around 85% chance that you are put in that shopping basket. Same thing for ratings. I think this is something that, you know, we don't look at it here in Egypt seriously. I don't know why, but we all do read the rating and the recommendation in a lot of cases. So here they've seen 3% up sales, and this is from the Amazon research I was telling you about. When you have SKUs that are rating above 4.5, and you get another additional 100 ratings on that. This is huge amounts, of course, so you really need to start investing and looking into encouraging shoppers to rate. Type visuals. One of the things that came out of this research, as I was telling you, is that the e-grocery shopper mindset is actually the supermarket shelf. And one of the things in shelf that we can see the actual SKU relative to each other, so size counts. But how can you replicate that in e-commerce? Unfortunately, most brands are very they're not very careful with that point, because if you think about it, these two bottles, one is 60 capsules and one is 150, but look at the size of the image. You could have just stretched it, okay? This is like very silly, but it makes a difference and it's confusing. So I actually have to go and read, and maybe I'm going to click on the wrong size. I want the 60, okay? But actually I clicked on that image because it looked smaller, and I put it in my basket, and when I was checking out, I discovered that the price is high, and then I either drop it or, you know, I'm bored, I don't have time to go back and click on the right one. So this is how you keep losing your customers at checkout, and it's a very simple thing to fix. The other thing, when Amazon started all of this e-grocery big research, because in the US at the time, I recall the growth was, they were looking at 4%, and they were very ambitious. They wanted to do like 10%, 8 to 10% growth in that particular e-grocery category when they bought Whole Foods. So all other brands, they started investing, and the big ones, so we're talking Unilever mainly, they've done a whole lot of research on that, and a lot of A/B testing that yielded, on this practice, I'll explain to you in a minute, around 26% sales uplift when they changed the imagery. So there's a lot of potential, but you need to invest in proper imagery. So what's this story? This story about what the shopper's eye look at. And there is a lot of work done in neuromarketing, which is, okay, I don't want to get into this one. I actually am going to do a session on neuromarketing soon. But basically, there's eye tracking glasses, and we measure how the brain and the eye moves and so forth. It was very helpful in terms of shopper behavior inside the store, and of course packaging. And here, we know now what the shopper is looking at. Funny enough, they are exactly looking at the cues. What cues? They are the most important thing in the function of that brand. So this is Persil, and the four top things would be the brand, format, variant, and quantity. So I want to know how many, يعني كم غسلة هيعملها, والbrand, and kind to the skin, that is actually the positioning. See what I mean? So these all need to be flashed out versus the standard pack, which is currently that everybody's using. Okay, there's an exception which I'm going to show you now, but this is the pack that we use in flyers, promotions, whatever it is. This is what you're actually getting, but that does not really work anymore. And as I told you, with all the testing that particularly Unilever was doing, they got up to 25% uplift when they just changed the imagery. So this is an investment that you need to look at. I'm giving you this example because some people would say, oh, okay, this is about fast moving, this is about grocery. But no, I'm picking up, this is a washing machine, fresh. I picked it up yesterday, the landing page from Souq. And I actually worked on white goods in Egypt. I know a bit about the shopper decision-making tree and what comes first. So I would tell you, I mean, apart from the brand and the price, which is a given, shoppers would be interested to know, top of mind, the capacity. Okay, so it's like 7 kilo, 10 kilo, and if it's a dryer or not. The other thing in terms of logistics, what's the warranty and where is it made? Of course, I mean, everybody knows Fresh is an Egyptian brand, so that's not relevant in this case. But if it is an international brand, or even an international brand, but it is, I don't know, what do you call it, packed in Egypt, مجمعة في مصر, okay, I would need to know, yeah? Now, the point is, if you've done your homework as a brand owner, that means you've done your brand strategy, you build the brand with the consumers, that consumer change into a shopper and when to buy, whatever the channel is, you do know the process by which they go. This is a category, for example, where word of mouth and personal recommendation is very important, but it's something that you cannot capture here. But let's work on what we can. There are other variables like price, number of cycles, loading. Of course, loading you cannot put it because it's already clear that it's front. It's top loading, mesh front loading. Okay. Brand name, brand positioning. You can flash it out as I mentioned earlier. That if you have something to talk about that differentiates you from your competition, maybe you want to have a message there about it and so forth. So delivery time with energy consumption. Energy consumption, this we see in European countries mainly. Even though I think it might be picking up in Egypt because utilities have increased in prices lately. But that's something that you need to think about as a brand owner. How can I make it better? So for a second, if you close your eyes and imagine that landing page with 3 or 4 flashing out cues, and also that descriptive, okay, which looks like an Excel sheet, it's more around who I am as a brand, my heritage, for example, if that's their positioning, or I'm proud to be an Egyptian brand or whatever they're talking about. This is gonna make a difference, okay, versus just slashing the price, all right? When you keep on doing that price game, it does not really work long term, trust me. This is a great example, which, I mean, I claim that I advocated for it 18 months ago, but of course the learning was already happening in global PNG. This is already currently on Souq. Sorry. So, Pantene, when you click on this one, you'll get that. So, is this shampoo right for me? Now, he's speaking to the shopper. This is a shampoo speaking to me, telling me if it's for me, how to use it, what are the advantages. It's basically flashing their differentiator in my face. Even though this is Pantene, this is already a brand with equity, all right? If you're a small brand, you have work to do and you have the vehicle to do so, and you're not using it. Same thing, reduces hair fall. And معلش PNG محسوكين شوية. So they even put there how to use it in 1 and 2 steps, okay? As if people don't know how to wash their hair, but anyway. And finally, something we forget to put online, the gratification. What does it feel to have strong hair? So they've got this lovely person at the end of the clicking. So this is the whole photos. There are 6, okay? And they're all telling the story of the brand. And it is a big brand after all. So you can imagine, I think there is a good other example, which is Maybelline makeup owned by L'Oreal. They're also doing a lot of good work currently on that. And there's so much more. And as I told you and gave you that washing machine example, it's a concept, it's a thinking, and you can apply it on any category. So this is not a grocery kind of thing. I'll wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed it. And I haven't seen any comments because, you know, I have this mobile upside down. It's the first time I do a go live thing, so I hope it went okay. You can follow me on my Facebook page and YouTube channel. It's FWD Consultancy, or of course on LinkedIn. And if you have questions, let me know. Bye!